Yo guys, Jinsk here, and today I'm gonna show you two clips, one from Raikou, another from Zico, and I'm gonna talk a little bit about sustained damage and the difference between Wrath of the Lich King, TBC, and live. Let's watch it, and I'm gonna comment after watching both of them.
you know, combustion being a one shot, or cooldowns like this, like wings for ret being a one shot. Like this is such a bad design. Apart from that, your damage is pretty low, and when you press these cooldowns, you're like a god. In Wrath, it wasn't really like this. It was about doing consistent damage. Like you didn't have any fat cooldowns to press. The game was just very fluid. Like you could win at any moment of the game, right? Because your damage was always the same the whole game. Like at the moment you can't win at any moment of the game. If someone was in a bad position in Wrath, you could punish them. Or like, oh, this guy is behind the pillar, let's kill him. At the moment it's like, oh, he's behind the pillar, doesn't matter. We don't have any cooldowns to kill him.
Okay, this is the first, and it talks a little bit about one of the main problems. Let's watch Zico now.
I love so much classic and TBC, but it's so slow and boring. You think it's slow and boring? I think retail is a bit slow, man. It's like fast. It's weird. It's fast because you're doing a lot of shit, but all the shit you're doing is doing nothing. But in TBC, it's like it's slow the stuff you're doing, but it does a lot of damn. You know what I mean?
And it talks about it talks about it in another way. They're pretty much saying the same thing, guys. They're comparing it to different expansions. So they're comparing it to TBC and Rat, but both of those expansions are pretty much alike in terms of 3v3. Um, and let's talk about it. So right now, I think the biggest problem with retail, so with Shadowlands, it's not you not being able to queue. Yes, I'm talking about solo queue. It's the game, the core of the game, and the core of Shadowlands is just bad, and the core of every World of Warcraft expansion, it's your avatar, it's your class, your avatar or your class, whatever. It's and I think it was Preach that said this, and is 100% right. It's the way you see the world. So your class, it's pretty much your eyes in the game, right? So it doesn't matter the type of content you do if the class design and the class tuning it's not good, because you're just not gonna enjoy what you're pressing. And one of the biggest mistakes in World of Warcraft has been the amount of cooldowns they added over the years. Not only the amount of cooldowns, by the way, but also the amount of stuns, the amount of kicks, the amount of mobility that has been increased ever since Kata. In Kata, it was the first time that World of Warcraft devs kind of went to bring the player, not the class type of design. And since then, the game has been declining, and I think the decline is not due to the content, but or not only because of the content, but also because of the class design. Let's be honest, guys. If I okay, let's just do something here. And this is a mob, but let's imagine it's a player. I find the player here. I charge him, swap stance because warriors are actually well designed. Swap stance, and I do damage. I'm not pressing any type of cooldowns. Obviously, I have bad gear, else this mob would be dead already. But this damage, okay, I'm trying to get rage, no crits, I guess. Okay, and I killed the mob, or the player. Now I have another player here. I can legit just go to him and it's gonna be around the same. The differential in terms of damage, it's not big. And I did this example, it could be a player. Because the difference between doing damage, unless the other player had played or something, obviously. But the difference in damage, it's not on your character, it's on the enemy character. So if that was a caster, for example, you would be using clots, and I would do the same damage to him than on another clot based uh, player. And obviously, there I don't use cooldowns because I don't have access to cooldowns. Well, in you do have recklessness, but you know what I mean. Like recklessness in TBC, it's not even usable, so you don't really have cooldowns. Any of this, it's not usable in TBC. So what I wanted to show you is that the damage I just did to that spider is the damage I would keep doing to other spiders unless I got lucky crits, obviously, which I didn't get there. Um, if this was Shadowlands, I would pop on this spider. For example, as a warrior, I would pop Avatar or Bladestorm. I would pop on this spider and then go to the next spider, and the damage differential would be around 50 to 60%. And this is where the class design kind of falls down in PvP, and this is the biggest problem in PvP, and this is what Raikou and Zico were talking about. And first I'm gonna talk about what Zico said, and what Zico pretty much says is in TBC your spells are not as fast because you don't have 20% or 16% haste. You pretty much have zero haste until season 4 and until Sunwell gear comes. You pretty much don't have any type of haste, so the gameplay feels slow. But those slow, that's how do I say it? The even though it's slow, whatever you're pressing, it's meaningful because it does a lot of damage. Frostbolt might be a 2.5 second cast, but when it goes off, the other enemy will feel it. And in right now in Shadowlands, it's the other way around. You can get like 10 Frostbolts, and you won't feel the damage, right? Or using a Fire Mage as an example, you won't do any type of damage until you actually use Meteor or Combust, which makes the game feel kind of weird. It feels like super slow for 2 minutes, and then it picks up for 10 seconds, and it gets super fast, like insanely fast, because in Combust you can actually kill someone in 2 seconds, and then it drops down to to levels of just being boring again. And this is what Raikou also says, which is it doesn't matter that a melee follows you behind the pillar. If you don't have cooldowns, you won't kill the melee, right? If you don't have combust, you won't kill the melee. Fireball does like what, 2% of someone's HP maybe, and you can just do the math on how many fireballs you need to kill someone, and yeah, it takes a little bit of time. Compare this to Wrath of the Lich King or even TBC, and if you go behind the pillar, you can just die. And this makes the game and makes PvP a little bit more engaging. Not a little bit, actually, quite a bit more engaging. And I'm going to use RMP as an example because I faced RMP back in the day. I actually faced Raikou, and I faced Raikou lately in these last few expansions, and the difference is pretty huge. Back in the day, the RMP, and this is funny because people don't understand why RMP was so skilled back in the day and they try to keep saying that RMP is skilled right now, and RMP it's not a skilled comp right now. It might be more skilled than most comps, but it's not rocket science, guys. Like, you have subterfuge on the rogue, you can get triple stuns on the whole team, or you can get double stuns, and all the mage needs to do is cast poly. He actually can blink while cast poly, which doesn't make it hard, and they gotta go. The goes on their RMP are not hard to get against most comps. There are some few comps that are actually a bit cancer for them, like Shadow Priest LA or LA Fire Mage or something like that. So this is what you do right now. You do a go every 25-30 seconds. You do a go as an RMP, and in between you don't really do much. So you have around 10 seconds of where you just don't do anything and the rogue tries to and you try to get the next go within the shortest time available. Now let's compare this to RMP before, and if you didn't play during RAT or TBC, you're gonna have a surprise on how RMP plays. Now RMP was really good because they were really good at killing killers. Yes, RMP, it's insanely good in TBC and RAT at killing killers, especially Resto Druids. The control and the hard part of the RMP was actually managing the mana. So back in TBC and to some extent Wrath of the Lich King, but not really as much in TBC. That's why I like TBC a bit more. Mages and priests go. Um, if you get Viper Sting by Hunter, for example, you will go within 2 minutes or even faster, depending on if you're getting damaged by the Hunter. What this means is that the skill from the RMP comes to CCing, but not really CCing the healers to kill DPSs. You can also do that, by the way, and that's what makes RMP such a really good comp overall in terms of TBC and RAT, is that you can kill healers, but you can also CC them. And your burst, it's not really connected to cooldowns, not even connected to shatters. Even though shatter, it's like your go. You don't really need shatter when your frostbolt does like 2.5k damage or even more, and there's like 12k HP pulls. And on top of that, you have Fire Blast, which you can use and does a lot of damage. You have Arcane Missiles. You just have a lot of damage, constant pressure, and it's not really tied to Frostbolt. So what RMP usually does actually is going on healers and CCing the DPS. Why? Because if a priest is in a kidney shot, he can't dispel the mage or the rogue, right? So this is where the skill comes in terms of TBC and Wrath of the Lich King, which is controlling the game. What an RMP does extremely well in TBC and Wrath is controlling the game. So they go on a healer and they control the other two DPSers. And it's not really that easy to control the other two DPSs when you don't really have haste as a mage. So it's it's a way more interesting gameplay. And even if you don't go on the healer or you don't kill the healer, you can do swaps, right? And this is where it comes the notion that RMP is skilled, because doing that it's actually extremely hard against good players. And compare that to today's game, and it's not even close because the goals are pretty much unstoppable, and if you don't kill them, you just try to reset, and resetting, it's not even like skilled. You just run, and you can't really make, especially as a warlock, you can't really punish them for bad decisions, which in TBC and RAT you can. But yeah. Um, so let's talk a little bit about sustain and why it's important and why the game has been declining. Sustain, it's important because if you play, for example, a warrior in Shadowlands, you can go behind the pillar, right? And you see this all the time in AWC, by the way. And this is why class design is so important, and it's so important that Blizzard wakes the fuck up. So I'm a warrior. I'm here with a mage in Shadowlands. I get Novad. This in TBC, it's horrific. By the way, you're behind the pillar as a melee. It's already horrific. You can be swapped. The rogue can just shadow step you and do damage and then stun you, and the mage kills you, or even the mage can kind of solo you, anyways. And you're not getting heals. Your healer is here, and you're not getting heals. You die. Or even if you don't die instantly here, you come out. The rogue comes to you, and the healer needs to cast. The mage has counterspell. Like, you're just dead. It's not like Shadowlands where the healer just stops you with an instant, or you just use die by the sword and you're fine. or rally or disarm. Well, you can use disarm in TBC, but yeah, you know what I mean, right? So it's really hard to top you in TBC if you do this. Another thing that a mage can do is, for example, you're a warrior and you're behind the pillar with the mage. He novas you. He just novas you. He doesn't do anything else, then he blinks and they go on the healer, and you can't help the healer with intervene, disarm, fear, or even an interrupt on the mage, right? Or a charge stun, or intercept stun on the mage or the rogue, so the healer just flops because the mage is free casting, the rogue is on him, your warlock or something, it's CC'd, it's like in a polymorph, and you're chilling in a Nova. Now let's compare this situation, the same situation to... So from one play, before I go into Shadowlands type of situation, in one play, two things can happen already, right? And what this makes is that the RMP, or the Rogue Mage X, they have decisions on what they can do. They can either try to kill you, or they can kill the priest, depending on the, or whatever healer you're playing with, depending on the way they want to do it. Now let's compare the same situation to Shadowlands, and the RMP doesn't really have any type of options, kind of. So you're with a mage here, he novas you, right? You don't have heals, and let's pretend that the rogue comes back, stuns you, but the mage doesn't have any cooldowns. They don't have any cooldowns at this point. They did their go, they want to do a go on you here, and they stun you. The mage doesn't have meteor or combust, the rogue doesn't have blades, and or dance, or he might even have dance. Let's say he has dance, and they go on you. The healer comes, right? You're stunned, getting stunned. In the end, you're like 50% damage because you probably have ignore pain. You're probably even higher. The healer comes and tops you. Just stops you. And you don't even use anything. You just pre-ignored pain, for example. And the RMP just wasted a stun DR on you. Why? Because they don't have cooldowns. And even though you did a bad go, now you're on a stun DR, and on the next go they do on the healer, they can't really CC you. Unless they get a ship on you, they can't really CC you. So you just need to use your reflect. So even though you got outplayed by the mage that dragged you behind the pillar, they went on you, you didn't die, and it was actually good for your team. Like, the bad play actually got rewarded, because now you're in a stun DR, and the next go the RMP wants to do on whoever, which is not going to be a warrior for sure, but the next go they want to do on whoever, you can just intervene, disarm, fear, whatever, because you're in a stun DR. And you didn't get behind because the healer just came here and just stopped you. Let's say you played with the Resto Druid, he just NS'd you. You're fine. Or you're just playing with usually a Paladin, it just walked you to full HP. You're fine. Your bad play actually got rewarded because now you're in stun DR and on Nova DR, so that means the next go the RMP does, it's not really gonna be effective, so they need to wait extra 20 seconds, even though they did a good play because they changed on the guy that is behind the fucking pillar. Now the same situation with cooldowns, you just die, obviously, but that's where sustained damage comes, and this is why sustained damage needs to be high. In this situation in Shadowlands, you should be punished as a warrior or as any other class, whatever. But you're not. You actually get rewarded because now you're in stun DR. You can do whatever the fuck you want. All you need to do is one good play, like Bladestorm a polymorph, like kick a polymorph, or just reflect the polymorph on the go. Now, let's do the same situation, which I've seen in AWC, and this I've seen way too many times, and it actually triggers me every time it happens. The mage, because every single mage in AWC it's actually pretty fucking decent. What they do is they grab the warrior and they bring him around the pillar. During this, they nova them. Why? Because the healer is out of line of the warrior. This in TBC would mean that you would be stuck here because the healer doesn't have any mobility and you can't really remove any slows. This in Shadowlands is just a minor bump. Why? Because you have Avatar, and good warriors just wait for roots to Avatar, and you have Bladestorm. You have two breakers of roots, and you keep doing your thing. You just Avatar and you keep doing your thing. So the good play from the mage, it actually turned out to be bad because the mage is also LOSing the healer, and instead of getting reward by warriors being stuck on the root for 10 seconds, he actually gets punished because for a few seconds the warrior just pumped him without any heals on him. And this is just a really minor example in a really big pool. This is one drop of water in a fucking rainstorm, right? And this is just one of the many examples I could do in terms of TBC and RAT against Shadowlands, and this is one of the many problems the game has. It's one of the many interactions the game has been kind of rewarding bad players and kind of making bad players seem better than they actually are. Because, and when I say bad players, obviously I'm talking about gladiators and rank ones that are getting carried by the classes they play and by the way the game is designed. Obviously, those players are not bad, right? They're better than 99%. Most of them are probably better than me, whatever. Like 99% are better than me, but you have really bad players. You have players that in AWC, and I'm not gonna call out names, rerolled warriors, and they used Warbreaker while disarmed, which means the debuff, the Colossus Smash debuff, doesn't go to the target. And you see the animation, and it's actually so funny. They are disarmed, and then you see them using the animation, and you see the animation, and they're like, "What the fuck is happening?" And like, how is this guy in the tournament playing a warrior, and it's not even his main class, but how is he in the top 8 in Europe? What? He's so bad, and it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter because that cooldown is up in 45 seconds. And probably in this situation you wouldn't get a kill anyways, because let's be honest, before dampening it doesn't really matter what you do. And yeah, this is why sustained damage needs to be high. And this was everything to say, because in this situation, and melee and mobility needs to be lower, so you don't get rewards for doing bad plays. Also stuns, because in this situation that I just talked about it, if it was in TBC, this warrior would be fucked. And losing the game, if they lost the game, and they would probably lose the game if a warrior ever did this, it would be 100% his fault. 100%. Because he makes the healer having to come out into the middle. Let's say this is Nagrand, having to come out into the middle. The RMP just CCs him, goes on the healer here, kills the healer. The warrior is just stuck in the root. Or the healer has to come out, the mage is turning around, the rogue comes, the mage or whatever healer they are playing CCs the enemy healer, and the mage just kills him with the rogue or even alone. Like, these are the type of plays I'm waiting to be actually important, because it requires you to use the fucking brain. We all have one, and this is why I loved World of Warcraft PvP and why I felt in love with it for the first time, because it was chess. This is fucking chess. It's not checkers like Shadowlands. This actually requires you to think, and there are super fast decisions that you need to make, right? And as a warrior, if you go behind the pillar, you need to be sure that within the charge stun you can actually kill the fucking mage, or maybe you're sure that you're gonna get a hamstring proc, whatever, or a mace and proc. But you need to be sure that what you're doing is gonna be good for the team overall. And in Shadowlands, it's kind of whatever. Oh, they don't have combust for another minute. Let's just do whatever. They can't really kill us anyway, so fuck it. Oh, my rogue doesn't have shadow blades. Whew. We're chilling, boys. We're chilling. Oh, warrior just popped avatar. Let's fucking run. Let's go. We can't even punish him. He still has die by the sword, which is 1 minute and a half cooldown. And another thing that I want to talk about, and this is gonna be the last example of why the game has been so bad, it's stuns. And I'm gonna use the most cancerous spec in the game and the most noob friendly designed spec in the game, and you probably already get which player I'm actually shooting shots, which is DH. DH players, in my opinion, the best DH player it's Raiko by far, and it's only due to him actually being an extremely good player. But DH, I face a lot of DHs right now whenever I play live, because sometimes I still commit the mistake of logging onto live to play with a friend. And what happens, it's always the same. I fake the DH, they always play with the shaman. I fake the DH, I fake the shaman, I get the grounding out of the fucking way. I'm already getting to cast on the DH, he stuns me. The stun ends, I get to cast on the DH, he stuns me again with AoE. My healer dispels it, I get to cast on the DH and he has kick again. And I need to fake him. And then I need to fake the shaman. Or I need to fake the shaman, then I need to fake the DH, and then grounding is up. Then I can actually get the cast. Exactly. And by the time I get the cast, we think we have a go. And we pop. And it reverses magic, everything I just did. And this is the type of play that doesn't require skill. The only interaction of skill, the DH, oh my god, I can't fucking speak. DH is just, the only skill the DH had in that 30-second window was the kicks. And he failed both, but it doesn't matter. Just doesn't matter. Because he has more stuff to stop your casts. Like he throws the kick for fun, actually. And if he does kick me, he delays even more my go. And if he doesn't kick me, he delays the go anyways. Enough to not being able to kill him. And this is a huge problem within the current game design, which is the caster versus melee interaction. And melee are not good, by the way, but they are not good in 3v3 because of other reasons. They have to be in melee range, and the damage is high, but it's not as high as the healing. And without cooldowns, you don't really get any cooldowns from the healers as double melee on the caster, right? So that's why melee it's kind of in a weird spot. They are just disruptive. They are not really, besides like warrior and windwalker, they are not really doing NDH. They are not really doing damage, right? They are just being disruptive. And this is the type of interaction that the game needs more and not less. It's skilled interaction. And I remember in WoT hearing about the pruning and being extremely happy. I was thinking that they would prune kicks and stuns, because I really think classes, not all classes should have kicks. Melee classes should have kicks, stuns, and I thought they would be removing that, and they didn't. They just removed abilities for some reason, damage and utility abilities, which was kind of weird. I was expecting for the pruning of this type of stuff, and they've been adding more of this stuff, like mass reflect for warriors, with Overwatch, with Stormbolt, with kick. Like, it's just too much disruption that is not hard to do. It's not really skilled. Like intervening a target when a mage is casting ship, it's not really skilled. Come on, guys. What is skilled, in my opinion, is getting a reflect. Um, reflect on you, or reflect on you, or a kick. It's not really skill to fail the kick and then stormbolt someone because you failed the kick and still be rewarded with that. But yeah, I've been ranting a little bit about the skill involved in terms of World of Warcraft PvP, and I think altogether just makes the game not enjoyable because it doesn't feel like you get rewarded by good plays. Some players even get rewarded by doing bad plays, and I think it's a little bit messed up. There's a few ways Blizzard can go about and fix all of this, but I highly doubt they will. I think no one in their team actually plays PvP or understands how big all of these little interactions are and how unfun it is to actually play a caster against a melee. And even if you win, by the way, guys, when I'm talking about this, I'm not talking about winning or losing, okay? I'm talking about being fun, okay? And even if you win, most of the games in Shadowlands, it's just unfun. It's just not really fun because you get so much cancer during the game, you actually forgot you win after like 30 seconds. And you just want to queue the next one and you don't want to face the same team because you know that you will win but you will get so much cancer that it's not even fun. But yeah, guys, there's a few ways they can fix this, and I don't think they will fix it because I don't see anyone in Blizzard understanding the little interactions arena needs to have and how they should play out, right? Like they probably know all of this that I just said, but they don't know how to fix it, and I'm not gonna waste 20 more minutes explaining how they should fix it. I just wanted to give you an insight on the difference between TBC, RAT, and retail, where all of these small interactions actually matter in those two expansions, and in retail they don't really matter. You just do whatever. Unless they have cooldowns, you can just do wherever, and just creates a really toxic design and toxic gameplay where players don't really have fun, and that's why they are not queuing arenas. It's not because of lack of solo queue, guys. It's because of this shit. And you might even quit the game and not even know why. Like you're like, I'm not having fun, but why? I used to love arena. Why am I not having fun on my warlock or shadow priest or whatever? And another thing is melee on a caster should hurt, and you see all the time in AWC fire mages tanking melee like they're fucking tanking an NPC or something, and it's also not a good design. But yeah, this game needs a lot of work, and I don't think they're gonna work on it. But yeah, it's kind of sad when you think about it. The evolution of World of Warcraft in arenas, especially those two expansions, RAT and TBC, compared to what we have now. It feels like that restaurant where it used to be really good and you used to go all the time, but then you grow up and the restaurant didn't kind of it evolved, but it evolved into a really bad restaurant where it kind of seems like Star Wars. Okay, World of Warcraft's class design is like Star Wars. It starts really well, then it has something that no one asked for, but it kind of worked. This is MOP, and then the vision changed because the designers or the writers, the designers and everything shifted, and you have this product that no one asked as well, but that unlike MOP or unlike the pre-sequels, it's just shit. It's just a really bad product. It's just unbelievably bad. It's out of touch with the community or with the fandom in case of Star Wars, and it's just you watch that and you're like, oh my god, this is so bad. This is actually so bad. World of Warcraft class design, it's legit Star Wars. Where from TBC arenas into Kata, it's like the three first movies. Then Mop, it's like the pre-sequels, prequels, where no one really asked for class design change, but okay, it's not terrible at least. It's not really good, but it's not terrible. And then from WODs to now, it's just the new Star Wars movies where you end up every time you face someone in arena, you're like, what the fuck? Just did I just watch? Like this fucking BM Hunter backpedaling, feint deading all my dots, but still wins. But yeah, guys, I'm gonna end up on that one. And thanks for watching. And I just want the pre-patch, man. Can they fucking release the pre-patch so I can actually boost my stuff and gear it up and fucking level professions and all of that? Jesus, man. Okay, thanks for watching. Peace.